Can you believe that a skin and bone dog, starving and alone, would carry home a piece of bread only to do something so touching it brought a rescuer to tears? This story will change the way you look at even the smallest creatures. In a small town in Texas, USA, there's a group of animal rescue volunteers who roam the streets and alleys every day, looking for stray dogs in need of help. One of them is Sarah, a young woman in her early 30s, with long, dark brown hair tied back in a ponytail, wearing a bright red rescue vest over her white t-shirt and jeans. On that day, the sun was beating down on faded brick walls as Sarah walked through a narrow alley. Suddenly, she spotted a thin figure standing quietly at the far end of the alley. No one could have guessed that this skin and bone dog was hiding something in his mouth, a secret that would make people cry. It was a young dog, about 2 years old, with short, patchy brown and black fur, so thin that his ribs and hip bones showed through his skin. But what shocked Sarah most was that the dog was holding a small piece of bread gently in his mouth. Sarah let out a soft sigh. She slowly stepped forward, reaching out her hand and saying gently, "Come here, buddy. I'm here to help you." But the dog stayed frozen, eyes full of fear and something else, almost like a silent plea. He took one hesitant step back, then suddenly turned and ran. Sarah stood there for a few seconds, stunned. But the look in his eyes wouldn't leave her mind. She thought to herself, if he's starving, why isn't he eating that bread right away? Where is he taking it? So Sarah decided to follow him, even as the alley grew narrower and darker. The dog weaved through twists and turns in the back streets until he finally stopped in front of a small opening in a brick wall. Sarah held her breath and slowly crouched down to look inside. And she nearly burst into tears when she saw, hidden inside the dark niche, 4 tiny puppies, eyes still closed, huddled together trembling. The mother dog gently laid the piece of bread down and nudged it toward the pups. Even though her own body was skin and bones, she was thinking only of feeding her babies. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. She couldn't believe that a creature so weak and exhausted could keep fighting to find food, not for herself, but for her puppies. She knelt down, gently stroking the mother dog's fur as tears rolled down her cheeks. Moments later, Sarah's fellow rescuers arrived. When they saw the puppies, they too stood in silence, overcome with emotion. Within minutes, the team carefully lifted each tiny puppy out and placed them into a rescue crate. The mother dog was wrapped gently in a blanket to keep her warm. As they stepped back out into the sunlight, Sarah looked up at the sky and whispered, "You didn't just save your babies. You reminded humans that love can be stronger than hunger or fear." From that day forward, the mother dog and her puppies were cared for at the rescue center. Just a few weeks later, they were healthy, playful, and found loving homes. But Sarah would always remember the look in that mother dog's eyes, a look filled with boundless love, even while starving. And she knew that sometimes even the smallest dog can teach humans the greatest lesson about love and sacrifice. But if you think this was the most touching story, wait until you hear about another dog who wouldn't stop scratching at the vet's door for a reason that brought the doctor to tears. Don't miss the next video right beside this one to find out why the whole world was moved by that tiny dog.